Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and this time I've got the pleasure of watching Robo22 playing in the one, the only, the Tier 10 German Super Heavy. It is the Mouse. Do you know what? It's been about a year and a half since the Mouse was featured on my YouTube channel, and I think that's about a year and a half too long, right guys? This tank is so incredible, especially when you have a great round in it. It truly is a pleasure to watch, and trust me, Robo is going to have a great game in his Mouse today. So the Mouse, any of you watching this tank for the first time might be wondering, oh, what is this? It looks absolutely ridiculous, and it kind of was finished, at least towards the end of World War II. I think they had one running vehicle, or at least a fully fledged prototype of the tank, and I think they even had a second kind of chassis or a turret going on for the second vehicle. But of course, just gigantic, completely preposterous, the idea of mass producing these tanks. Only a madman would have the idea of that. And so, never really came into fruition. Maybe if the war had gone on for a few years, we would have had hopefully some video footage of this taking on some other vehicles, which I don't know, would it have been that dramatic? Who knows? You can only guess at that kind of thing. All we can really tell is how awesome the Mouse is in World of Tanks. And as it is the heaviest vehicle, you would expect the heaviest vehicle to be quite slow. 20 kilometers an hour slow, to be exact. That's the top speed limit of this tank going forwards. 15 backwards, not so bad backwards, right? This tank can go 75% of the speed backwards than it can forwards. So it doesn't really matter if you're going forwards or backwards in the kind of melee engagements that you're hopefully going to get yourself into in the Mouse. But the armor, that's what this vehicle is all about. 240 millimeters of frontal turret armor and 210 on the side. And that is really what makes the Mouse special. Now, the E100 has got better frontal turret armor than the Mouse. It's hard to believe, really. It's got 250 millimeters of armor, but it's also angled upwards. And the curvature on the Mouse turret actually makes it a significant weak point, because it's flat. If you shoot when it's angled like this, it's flat. If you're below it, shoot up here, and it's flat. If you're shooting above it, shoot here, and it's flat. It doesn't matter what angle or elevation or depression you are engaging a Mouse. If you shoot the flat part of the cheeks of the turret, you're going to need 240 millimeters of penetration to have a 50-50 chance to be able to go through its armor. The E100, on the other hand, has about 270 millimeters of effective armor, especially considering it's quite a tall tank and you're quite often aiming up at it. However, the E100, it doesn't have 210 millimeters of side turret armor. I think it has 150 millimeters of side turret armor, and so the Mouse has got 60 more millimeters on the side. And so what that means is that when you angle the turret like this, you have about 315 millimeters of effective armor, both now on the cheeks and also on the side of the vehicle, which is absolutely awesome. Now, I'm showing off all the armor capabilities of this tank, but I'm not even really mentioning that Robo22 has already had some pretty good shots so far this game. He's pulled off 1,977 damage, ripping apart a Borsig and putting 2 into the Indian Panzer. Fair enough, engaging tanks which are 2 tiers below him. Hopefully he'll start to put some rounds into the IS-7. That truly is a threat on the enemy team. But luckily the T10 lost a lot of hit points. It looks like to his platoon mates he wasn't really able to help his IS-7 and his 260 that much. They fell victim to some big old shells from the enemy team. But I guess what Robo22 was doing was preventing them from being able to flank round and get their sides. And that's quite often what the Mouse does very well. Now, this vehicle, I believe it has the lowest DPM of any of the Tier 10 heavies, and it is significantly lower than a lot of tanks, especially recently with buffs to vehicles like the 113, making that but you couldn't really consider that to be a true super heavy, but still making it very competitive with DPM. Heavies seem to be getting more and more dangerous with regards to their capabilities. Talking about dangerous tanks, that is a T10 E4 that just ricocheted off the Mouse there, right off the side of the turret, aiming up at it. That vehicle has 290 millimeters of penetration on its standard rounds, and as I mentioned, 315 of effective on the side of the Mouse. When you're angling the turret perfectly, both on the front and on the side, and you're able to ricochet even the most dangerous tank destroyers. But immediately we see the weak point of the... Well, actually, that one was fired straight at the gun. That was just probably a little bit of RNG I should expect there. I really thought that one was going to hit the side of the cheeks. But lo and behold, the IS-7 going straight through, which in theory should be one of the thickest parts of the Mouse's armor. So focusing on the Maus again and its gun capabilities, it uses a 128mm gun, the same as you're using on the E75. And so if you've played the E75, or even in the VK4502B, which is the predecessor to this tank, then you'll know what you're getting yourself into. Now, T10E4 puts a round right through the Maus there. That was indeed very painful. Through the lower plate, and he's also obviously got a bit frustrated with the first shell that he bounced off Robo 22, and he loaded an APCR round there. Now, those really are Maus killers, those APCR rounds on those tier 10 tank destroyers. They have 375mm of penetration, but it looks like the T10E4 missed the lower plate there, instead going on the outside and detracking Robo 22, and he finishes off that pesky American turret tank destroyer, and a good thing too. Just look how the Maus can ricochet shells from all angles. Is he going to bounce this IS-7? Yep, he is. IS-7 shot the side of the turret. Big mistake, buddy. Should have shot the side of the hull there. The side of the hull on this tank is 185mm compared to the 210 on the turret, which also is well angled, and that's what makes this side of the turret just so strong. So 3,700 damage. The Maus doesn't really pick it up quickly, even if he does have the chance to go full auto. But the thing is that he's lost less than half of his hit points, ricocheting shells from the front, shells from behind. And then those small caliber guns hitting his tank. That's a tier 9 German tank destroyer, a Jagdtiger, with 560 alpha damage on his 128mm, and also I believe about 276mm of penetration. But none of that really affecting Robo 22, and he's doing some great work here. Now, if you've got an enemy on the left of you, enemy on the right, what you want to do is basically line up your Maus straight in between them. And if they're at hopefully 90 degrees to each other or 45 degrees to yourself, then that's just absolutely perfect, and you're going to have very effective armor against both of them. Now, something that not a lot of tanks can do. Quite often, tanks have to point their armor directly at their opponents, just like the IS-7 on the enemy team to be most effective. The Maus certainly doesn't want to point its armor directly at its opponent. It always wants to keep its armor angled and only point its turret towards them to engage them when hopefully they're not shooting back at it. So this Jagdtiger is about to lose his life. Oh no, he's not. Oh gosh. 471. Bit of a low roll there. Actually, the Jagdtiger has 57 hit points left. I forgot how healthy those vehicles are now. Talk about big hit points. The Maus obviously with 3,000, the healthiest tank in the game. But the Jagdtiger, well, at least fairly recently, in the last couple of patches, or last 3 patches or so, getting that big old health point buff from 1,800 to 2,100 there, kind of catching me off guard. So, Robo 22 picking up his 5th kill of the game. Now he is certainly starting to pour it on the enemy. 6,222 damage done. Oh, you've got to just love the Maus in these kind of urban combats. But this is where the vehicle starts to get a little bit frustrating, because remember, your engine power is very good. I think this has probably the biggest engine in the game at 1,750 horsepower. But guys, remember that this tank weighs 188 tons before you start putting things like a super heavy spall liner, a large tank caliber gun rammer on the vehicle, which will probably put it up to above 190 tons. That is a heavy old girl, and so that means that the power to weight ratio of this tank isn't exactly awesome. And the ground resistances, well, they're not tragic, but they're also not great either. Luckily, Robo 22 is fighting in urban combat right now, and that means that all of the terrain will be hard. Oh, terrible idea to auto-aim there, Robo. Why did you do that, buddy? You could have taken your time, aimed at the hull of the Jagdpanther 2, and shut him down. But it looks like Robo is the kind of player who is very, very, very knowledgeable about the way that he wants to use his armor, and his awareness is also fantastic as well. But we're going to be seeing throughout this replay that it's most likely that he should probably take a little bit of working on trying to avoid that auto-aim a little bit. But I also must mention, this replay was from about 6 months ago now. I did go looking for some fantastic Maus replays for you guys, and you know, this certainly is one of them. Interestingly enough, I believe the last tank that the enemies killed, because of that bounce against the Jagdpanther 2, Robo 22 is now contesting for a Kolobanov's medal, and if he'd actually aimed that shell better, oh, great snapshot. There you go, that's what we want, aiming a little bit better there, well, certainly a hell of a lot better than he did against the Jagdpanther 2, shutting him down. But maybe the reason why he snapped the shot against the Jagdpanther 2 was generally with the 311mm of penetration, of the APCR rounds that he has now, that should be enough to take out that tier 8 German tank destroyer. So now what to do in this situation when you're Robo22? There's 3 tanks left on the enemy team. He's shut down the Jagdpanther, he's shut down the IS. You're on 6,600 damage, you're on 7 kills. But the first thing that you've got to think about in the mouse is that, fair enough, if there are 3 opponents on the enemy team, and they're also all rather skilled players, I must mention that, they're most likely to come at him together. If they come at him one by one, that will be an absolute disaster for them. And so it looks like they're not capping. If they were capping, they would have already done so by now. It looks like instead they're quite greedy. They want the final kill on the mouse. All of that experience and credits that comes with it, with the 1,129 hit points that he has left, pretty much a third of his hit points. That's absolutely crazy. He's got double the hit points of any of the enemy tanks, and they're tier 8 heavies and tier 9 medium tanks. Absolutely crazy. Alright, so what does Robo need to do right now? Well, he needs to just try and keep spotting. He wants to try and catch a glimpse of where the enemy tanks are, and he also needs to make sure that he tries to keep his back covered. And he also needs to try to make sure that he needs to keep his side armor covered as well, because as soon as they do get flat on and get a nice shot in at an unangled mouse, then even the thickest armor in the game can fall short. So where is the Centurion 1? Where is this VK4502A? Where is the AMX30? Do they think that he's gone towards the cap circle? Do you think that they've made their way along here, hoping to catch him out in the open? When instead he's actually just waiting in the corner. Now with 3 minutes and 25 seconds left on the game, surely the enemy tanks must be close to him now. They've had enough time to probably go to their base, make sure it's secure, and then start to look in other locations of the map. What he's also got to hope is that maybe the enemy team is split up right now, and they certainly are. He's found the VK4502A, and he puts one right into the turret, shutting down the tier 8 German heavy tank that one day every VK4502A wishes that it's going to grow up just to be like the mouse. A quick dab of the tab key there and we can see what kind of ammunition the enemy team are using. The Centurion 1 must be using because he's firing premium APCR rounds, that means that he must be using the 20-pounder. Hopefully Robo22 can use that to his advantage. But the AMX30 on the other hand catches a jump, both of them ricocheting off. Poor marksmanship on the enemy team. It looks like they haven't really encountered that many mouse tanks before. Robo22 is doing a fantastic job right here. Centurion 1 right in front of him. AMX30 to the side. How is he going to get through this situation? What are their health points? That's always important to establish. 426 hit points on the AMX30. The 490 alpha damage of the 128mm German main armament on the mouse should be enough to be able to kill him in a single shot. And that's always what you've got to be thinking about. And that AMX30 is using 105mm with decent penetration, but it's not going to matter. He makes a gigantic mistake, firing a heat round, I believe, into the left track of Robo22, and now he's changed his 1 versus 3 into a 1 versus 1. And that Centurion making a terrible mistake as well. 545 damage. It looks like even the most competent players, even in a group together at the end of the game, are falling short here. Robo is getting a bit lazy with his auto-aim. Will he finish him off? Oh no! 406 damage! Leaving him on 37. That is the mother of low rolls. Lady Luck not favoring Robo here. Can he keep up with the Centurion? Remember, the mouse is so goddamn slow. Oh, he takes a shot with the auto-aim, and that means that he can't shoot the Centurion in the side right now because of the poor reload of the mouse. 9 kills, 1 minute, and 12 seconds left on this game. Come on, Robo. Where's that timer? I really missed the timer. I did mention that this replay is a few months old. It's a bit of a shame that we don't have we don't have the timer coming on to add some anticipation. 1 minute left on the game now. The Centurion running away. Will Robo22 be able to find him? The Centurion gets spotted. 3% of his hit points. Will Robo find the tiniest of shots through the building? No. Oh, please come back, Mr. Centurion. Take a chance against the mouse, even if he does have to penetrate him 3 times. Will the Centurion be able to run away, though? There's no way the Centurion's going to be able to run away. Surely he has to come back. If he keeps running, then that means that Robo will be able to find him. Oh, gosh, he tracks him. The Centurion figures out that he did have to come back, and it doesn't look like he has a repair kit. You know what time it is. Smush at the end of the game, picking up his 10th kill, 8,200 damage. very, very, very dodgy stuff at the end of this game by Robo22, but all in all, a fantastic result for his tier 10 German super heavy. So what an incredible result here for Robo22 in what has to be one of the greatest games I've seen in the mouse. And this is such a novel tank. They're always a pleasure to watch. Robo picked up the Kolobanov's medal, the one that everyone wants for standing alone against at least 5 opponents. The Pools medal for that 10th kill, ramming that Centurion must have been super satisfying. Unsurprisingly, a steel wall medal, and boy what a steel wall this was. 8,560 damage blocked with his armor, 33 hits taken this game from the majority of very large caliber guns. And as if that wasn't enough, also a high caliber medal for over 8,000 damage. So Robo22, congratulations to you on a mammoth game in an equally gargantuan tank, and thank you for uploading this on the What Replays website for the community. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving the video a like, it really helps the channel out, and simply click the more info icon in the top right hand corner of your screen to see a plethora of other awesome mouse replays. And as always, thank you so much for watching, you've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.